Welcome back to my channel, Soul Travelers, where I share my experiences and knowledge that I have obtained to help you on your spiritual journey as I continue to grow in mine. I know it's been a little while, guys. I have been MIA. I've just been going through a whole lot in my life and in my spiritual journey myself. So before I jump into the video, let me just say that you can go in the description box below to get my page, my Facebook page, or my email. I do offer tarot card readings. I do general readings, current life situation readings, and advice, full life readings on different areas of your life. I do life purpose readings. I'm also now starting to do pendulum readings, and that is for like choice answers or yes or no answers. So yeah, so just check out my page and contact me. It'll be in the description box below if you're interested in any of that. So today we're going to be doing a video on inner child work. All right, you probably heard this a lot, but it's very important, guys. It's very important for us to be in touch with our inner child in order to create the life that we want, in order to be on a high vibration. But it is also, firstly, important to heal the inner child. To be connect with it, we must heal it first. Okay. Um, so, when we come into this life, guys, we know who we are and we know what we came to do, as we've talked about before. I think in a video I did about soul contracts. And we're still highly, highly connected to the spiritual plane when we're born. And we've not yet been programmed, not yet been conditioned by our parents and by society. We pretty much remain this way until we're about 7 years old, okay? And then when we return 7 years old, the programming starts to kick in, right? And we start to forget about why we came here and our connection. Think about it. Children have these like huge imaginations. All right, they're not limited by all the adult stuff, by the boundaries that we are as adults are limited by. We're so limited by what we see in front of us that we have a hard time kind of using that imagination and creating from the quantum plane because of that. They never think of all the reasons why something can't work or why it won't work. Okay, it simply just doesn't occur to them because those limitations in the 3D do not yet exist to them. For example, I'm always seeing this status, right? And it's always getting reshared on Facebook. And it says something like, kids be making plans with no car, no job, and no money, and something like that. But guess what? Most often than not, kids get what they want, right? Um, and like for Christmas, for birthdays, a trip to McDonald's, you name it, whatever, right? Why? Because they have the ability to manifest things. And they can clearly envision what they want without allowing the present circumstances to become a factor. Like it never even occurs to them, hey, I don't have a job, I don't have money, I don't have a car. They never even think about that. They just think what it is that they want. Okay. I read a phrase in a book once of my stepmom's, and it says, think like a child, work like an adult. Right? So we must get back in touch with that childlike spirit of wonder, of imagination, of just being. Of course, you might say, yeah, but kids don't have bills, etc. No, but kids do have needs, and they simply expect those needs to be met without a second thought. And this is where the saying, like, mother is God in the eyes of a child, kind of comes into play. We must, too, trust the universe with that childlike spirit and trust the universe to bring us back what we put out. Okay? If we put worry out, like I said before, that's what we're going to get, more worry. But y'all already know this. Now, in many of our lives, we did not receive or have all of those needs met as children that we assumed would be. And that scarred us. It caused wounding. And whether that be emotional, mental, physical, that's where the healing part comes in, y'all. We all may have different traumas. Okay. Some people may say they had a good childhood, and they may mistakenly be believing that they don't have any healing to do simply because they weren't beaten or molested or emotionally and verbally abused. But a lot of scars just aren't that obvious. Some are more subtle. For example, like a mother that worked all the time to provide, and she provided everything her kids needed. They had everything they had, and there was no abuse. But they didn't get that attention or the support that they needed. And, the list just goes on. So, how can we start healing? Well, first, we need to connect with the inner child. And you can start by meditating on it. Okay? Close your eyes. Try to envision yourself as a kid. What are you doing? What are you saying? What does the room look like? Where are you at? Is there anyone else there? And once you get a clear vision of that, you may want to try talking to your child self. See what comes up. You can go back to the times when the trauma occurred. Also, certain traumas that you can remember and comfort that child self. You can write a letter to your child self, even a letter. You can write a letter to your child self, and you can write a letter from your child self to your adult self. Okay, so you can do it both ways. And these exercises do get more detailed, and I'm actually going to leave a link for you guys in the description box below so that you can access these exercises and do them for yourselves. Okay, like I said, guys, this all may sound like cliche and all of that, but it's so important. And there's 4 exercises that I'm going to leave links to. 2 are meditative and 2 are written. Okay, about 10 days ago, I saw something on Facebook talking about the childlike spirit, and then I was sent a video talking about the same thing, like within the same day or so, right? And that same day, my husband was playing around. He was being silly. He's goofy. He loves to do stuff like that. And for whatever reason, like, it really triggered me. Like, it really set me off. And I was like, oh my God, can you just stop? Like, and it really hurt his feelings. And he looks at me and he goes, where is your childlike spirit? Right? And it really got to me, guys. And I knew that was like my final sign of all the signs I received that day that I needed to do some work, particularly focused around my inner child. So now when I yelled at him, it was very reminiscent like of when parents always say, sit down, be quiet, shut up. That kind of thing, because parents are always trying to train that childlike spirit right out of us. But that's because that's what they've been taught, and that's what gets passed on. And if we're not careful, we can do the same thing to our kids. It's another reason why it's important. So anyway, that night I started thinking about what my husband said. And when I went to bed, I was awake for like 2+ hours, probably 2 or 3 hours, just being flooded with memories, childhood memories that were long buried. Okay, some good, but a lot more negative ones. But memories I just had completely just buried. And the next day I started doing some of those exercises that I was telling you guys about, and it was quite emotional. I talked to my husband, I talked to my stepmom about some of them, and when I told my stepmom one of them, I asked her, I was like, please don't tell Daddy, don't tell Daddy about this. And she responded saying, well, why wouldn't I? Why wouldn't I tell him? And she basically had me realize that I had some shame over one of these childhood memories, and a child should never really have shame over something that wasn't their fault. Even if it was a behavior, they were just imitating like what they saw. Okay, so I was able to realize that and like kind of work on changing my perception of that. And over the next week, I went through some things as I let myself like explore these memories and feel these feelings. And not about a week of hell, okay, I finally had a breakthrough, and I was able to like awaken that spirit and kind of just release so much that I wasn't aware of that I was carrying. And within the same 48 hours, y'all, a lot of my manifestations that I've been working on for months began to just kind of take place like instantly. And then a week after that, all hell broke loose, okay? And everything just came to the surface and kind of like manifested into my life, like physically. Chaos ensued. It was a lot, and I'm not even going to go to it, but basically like all those traumas basically came to the surface and almost ruined my life. But change is never comfortable, okay? And if we ever want to ascend, if we ever want to really reach our higher self, like, this is the kind of shit we're gonna have to go through. Otherwise it's just gonna fester under the surface, and it's gonna keep replaying out in our lives over and over and over until we deal with it, okay? But I was pretty much forced by my circumstances to really look at myself and analyze. Um, and I was able to assess a lot of limiting beliefs in my subconscious as a result of all these childhood traumas that I had buried. And now I have better insight on how I can consciously start to shift these belief systems. And it's still a work in progress. Okay, we're all very work in progress all the time. This journey is never done. It is always an ever evolving thing. And y'all know that whatever I'm telling y'all is something I do myself. I'm never going to tell y'all to do something that I'm not doing myself, okay? So, with all that said, this is not going to be a long video, but I just wanted to share this with you guys because I've been missing off my channel for a couple weeks now, and I've been kind of beating myself up about that. Like, damn, I got to get back to my channel. My travelers, they need my guidance, but I can't help you guys if I'm not helping myself. Like I said, I'm going to leave those links for the childhood work. Also, my link for my Facebook page, where you can message me for readings, is going to be in the box in the box below. And this is going to be considered part 2 of my healing series. I will also leave the link to the first part of this. That one's about healing from the inside out. But yeah, guys, I really want y'all to do this work and just be warned that it's probably not going to be pleasant, and you're going to go through some shit, but if you don't deal with it, it's going to keep manifesting into your life over and over, and you're going to be caught like in that cycle, yeah. So do that work, guys. There was one thing, there's one thing that I did not mention through this inner work. I found out that I had some point in my childhood I developed lying as a form of defense, even when I don't have to. It's a fear of like getting in trouble. But what I'm going to say, and I'm working on very hard to break that, and it's not easy, but I'm doing it. Just remember, guys, that a lot of the times the behaviors we develop in childhood, we develop them to deal with our circumstances as a child, to survive our circumstances. But the problem is they don't always work, or they don't work when we grow up and we're using them in our adult life. They don't work anymore. And so that is important. It's important to figure out your toxic behaviors or behaviors you develop as a self-defense mechanism as a kid, so you can figure out why you started doing it and try to break it. So yeah, that was the last thing I had to say. But yeah, links are below as always, and I'll see you guys on the next time. Bye.